And welcome back to another video. This one's going to be very, very different than any video I've ever done because I had a subscriber that goes to Rio Hondo College in Whittier, California, hit me up in the comments and asked me if I would do a podcast on capturing the passion, social media, business, and whatever else he wants to ask me. And when I first saw the message, I was like, nah, man, I can't do this. And I thought, you know, my mantra in life is the more I can give, the more I can help, the more I can share, free of charge, the more good comes back to me. And sometimes that good is in the form of great karma. Sometimes it's in the form of cold hard cash. So the reality of it is, selfishly, I'm going to go give back today, share whatever I can share. Hopefully it's of value. And I decided, and they gave me permission to film this so I can share this on my channel with all of you in case maybe something brilliant flies out of my mouth today to this large group of students. And I'll put a link below to the actual podcast because they've got a lot of great stuff and a lot of great content that they share as well. So let's get to this college, which it's funny, the only times I've actually been invited back to a college since I never showed up in the first place, so invited to a college at all has been to speak, and I never went to college. So it's kind of cool when you think about it, folks. I mean, you got to agree, you know, a dummy like me, I don't think I'm that dumb. I mean, I went in the Air Force, spent 4 years, and I think that counts for something, folks. But bottom line is, I spent zero time going to college, and now this is the second time in the last year that I'm speaking to college kids. So I don't know. I mean, I'm flattered. I'm very flattered. So let's go do this, and hopefully it's of value to them, and I don't completely ruin their lives with horrible advice. Let's do this. We have arrived. Let's go do this podcast, and you will get to see it in just a second. But I got a little walk for me. All right, we are here. Let's go ahead and find this room we're going to do this podcast in, and you're all going to see it in 1 second. I just have to find my way through this maze. Having not been through college, I'm realizing you need a college education to find your way through a college campus. Let's go. How's it going, George?
Yeah, man.
Hey, man. Nice to see you, dude.
Come on in.
All right. 3, 2.
Welcome back to CPTP Season 4, Episode 1. Today we're going to have a conversation about social media and its influences. And today we have the OC motivator. Brad, tell us about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, Jorge. When I got this message, I didn't know what to think. And normally, and it's not because I think I'm cool or anything, I just thought, I'm not going to do this. Like, I'm not going to go do a podcast thing. And then I went back to my core roots, which is say yes. Say yes as much as you possibly can. If somebody asks you to do something for free in service to others that have yet to have traversed the path that you've already been on,
Right.
I think I have a moral obligation to do that. So when I wrote back to you, I got to tell you, I rewrote the sentence twice. One was, there's no way I can go. And then I wrote back and I said, I even looked at my wife, I'm like, I spoke at Cal State Fullerton last year to a group of students, and it was so rewarding to me to talk to people that have yet to have seen the scary, scary, crazy world that I've lived in now at 53 years old. Seen it all, been through it all, lost everything, got it all back, and be able to influence their brains in a more positive way, it's great. So 5 years ago I started a YouTube channel, and it was because I wanted to get over my fear of video, my fear of camera, because many of you may remember that was the thing. Video's everything, we need to do video, we got bandwidth now, do video. So we went from photos to everything, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, Reels, Short, I mean, all this stuff really went crazy, and my company decided, well, you're vice president of the company, you need to be on video. So I showed up to a meeting with a camera guy and a guy with headphones like this nice gentleman here, who with all his equipment that's just as scary as doctor's equipment and needles and stuff, and he says, okay, I'm gonna ask you some questions, turn the camera on, and I sounded like a blithering idiot for about 30 minutes. I ended up setting down my Monster Energy drink that did not help at all, and I walked out of the room and I did not do video again. I told him, I am the decider in this company, and I am going to decide I'm not going to be on video. Because you take what otherwise is a very intelligent-looking guy in live meetings and make me look like a complete blithering idiot to my whole company. So I'm going to avoid that. Same as golfing. I'm not going to go out there and break golf clubs and throw them into the lake because I suck at it. I'm going to own that horrible failure. My wife says, why don't you like to dance? Because I don't want anybody to call 911. I'm a horrible, horrible dancer. So I'm not going to do video. But after that, it came down to I failed at something. I failed at something, and I was never afraid of anything. The devil himself could call me to a meeting, and I would show up to wrestle him. But the video camera terrified me. So I picked it up, and I got on camera when I bought my first Dodge Challenger. And it's horrible. It's still up. It's very old. It's 5 years old. I bought at an impulse, bought a Dodge Challenger RT, and got my phone out, and I had the gimbal, had everything, thinking it'd make me a better videographer. Horrible video. Everything was just out of focus, too close, zoomed in. But I shot that video, and the video went really good.
Right.
Like, people were interested in the content. And at that point, I'm like, well, maybe I can make money doing this. I also started a second channel, which was going to be controversial. It was about, self-protection, home protection, that kind of things. And I realized YouTube's going to end that.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing that and did the car thing. I tried to do tech, because I love nerdy tech stuff. I love all this stuff. I just don't want to be on this side of it usually.
That's exactly what Eric said.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I did some of those videos and nobody liked them. But then I went back and I did another Dodge video, embarrassed myself, and went, boom, 40,000 views. And I'm like, all right, there's something here. I'm gonna do this a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I told you about the Neverland Ranch video. I walked a guy through the house at Neverland Ranch, and it was a horrible video. I put it up on YouTube so that I can show my family, because it was a long video, because I didn't have enough room on my phone at the time.
To be able to send it and then receive it.
Yeah, and keep it on, because it was a long video. And it's currently at 2 million views, but it got me monetized. So now I have a small business. Well, a small business is one of the greatest tax shelters in our country today. If you want to immediately start capitalizing on the opportunities of tax write-offs, then start a small business. And if you fail at it, there's a tax benefit. If you succeed at it, you actually get money.
Yeah.
So I've moderately succeeded, enjoyed the tax benefits, but I've done what I started to tell you, is I started off thinking, if my content's not of value to the viewer,
Right.
if it's not helping and contributing to bettering the planet I'm on, then I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And that made me feel better.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Those of us that are familiar with OC Motivator, you're big in the car industry, and that's what gravitated me to watching your channel. I'm curious to know, you hit on it a couple of times, being afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fear that most, if not everybody has, is I don't want to be vulnerable to failure.
Yep.
Aside from you pushing yourself on and doing it, was there something else or someone else that told you, hey, it's all right to fail because eventually you're going to succeed?
Yep. So, excellent question. Probably if you listen to nothing else in this, get this out of it. Most of us will fail way more than we succeed in life. We will fail so much that it becomes almost normal for us to continuously fail. So the fear of failing, I found, was not what was ever holding me back as much as the fear of succeeding. And the fear of succeeding has to be sustainable, and the responsibility that comes with succeeding is overwhelming, and people begin to depend on you. There's so much that comes with success that it's terrifying, and there's also a feeling of loss, because the more you succeed, the less genuine your relationships become. You have more people trying to end your life for the wrong reasons. People will hold you down because They don't want you to leave them behind, so they crap on your goals and your dreams. So that fear of success is, I'm going to go here, and as they say, it's lonely at the top. Well, the higher you get, the less real relationships you have. The harder it is to interact with other human beings. So most people, they'll say they're afraid to fail, but the reality of it is if you have $1 in the bank today, and you go out and try your social media strategy, you try to shoot videos, and you end up with $300 in your bank because you had a great video go viral, then you never do good again and fail, you still made $300.
Right.
But if you do this, you start this venture, or you choose not to start the venture, and you take that $1, then you've failed before you've begun.
Right.
So most of us fail by virtue of never starting something. I had a conversation with a guy the other day, and he says, and it killed me because he asked me how much I made. And I hate it when people ask me that, but I also respect the guts it takes. So you know what? I honored that question, not to flex, not to brag, but when he asked me, and I'm not going to say it here, but he asked me if I made $300,000 a year. He says, I'm doing the math, that's about what you should be making. And I said, if I only made $300,000 a year, I would be broke right now and living on the streets. I can't pay my bills after taxes with that little money. And it's not bragging, but when I made that point, he goes, what the hell? I'm not thinking big enough. Right answer. And I said, I didn't tell you that to brag. I'm not telling you that to flex. I'm telling you that because you asked me a direct question, you deserve a direct answer,
Right.
and then I sent him my recent year-to-date check. Because I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to fake
Right,
it,
right.
and I want to inspire him to know that it's real. I'm a plumber's son from Whittier who shouldn't be making anything. I mean, the world told us, you don't deserve it.
Right.
You know, our family wasn't going to do it. So the reality of it is if you don't try it, then you've already failed before you got started.
And there's a lot of people that, I have many conversations with students at the college, the university, where it's like, well, my family didn't amount to anything. I come from nothing. I don't know how to get there. I can't see myself being that. And our conversation before we started recording was, sometimes they need to see that out there, that, hey, you know what? Here's someone that probably came out of nothing, but here they are now.
Yep.
And like you said, it's not about flexing, but it's about saying, hey, you know what? If I found it in myself to get there,
Yep.
there's no reason why you can't either.
Yep.
So let's go to your content.
Well, let me just say this, because
Yes.
you know what that guy said to me? I said, here's what you do. Get your real estate license and go start. If you want to make that money, you can. I gave him the roadmap. Go get your real estate license and get out there and start taking great care of customers. Do something, start your own business, whatever it is. That's an easy way.
Yeah.
And his response was, I'm too comfortable in my current job. I make enough money right now to pay my bills, and I'm putting enough away for retirement. So that complacency is kicked in to where I'm not going to take that risk because I'm already comfortable.
Oh, good.
So comfortable is the road to complacency, and that's where you're at. Now, I wrote him back, you know what I said? I don't blame you, man. I honestly don't blame you. I'm not criticizing or judging anybody for not going for it. I'm grateful for every day I'm here, and I'm pretty sure that every day I'm on the brink of losing everything again. I'm perpetually paranoid and in fear. My wife goes, why are you always so scared? You've done good. We saved money. We're great.
Yeah.
You've got this stuff. I mean, if we had a cut and run tomorrow, we'd be okay. I'm like, I'm just naturally in fear. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm short, dude. I'm just scared someone's trying to eat me at anywhere I go. It just is what it is. So sorry about that.
No, let me ask you,
Yeah.
let's jump on that. Does that fear come with the way you were raised and the lack of resources that you had growing up? Is that where it comes from?
Yeah, well, and this is going a little deep, but, my dad's going through some stuff right now with Alzheimer's, and it's hard to watch him go through this because he's such a proud, hard-working man. I mean, this guy sold oranges on the side of the 605 freeway to feed us before he started his plumbing company. He worked really hard. It was a small company, but to see how hard that man worked and how long he worked and the fights that took place in our house that were related to money for so many years of my childhood, and not having the things, and then going to Lucerna High School with all the rich kids and wondering, why don't I have these things? Why am I riding the cheapest, crappiest bike? And when I got a car, it was, blowing smoke out the back and it was beat up and I had to do all the work myself. And why don't I have these things? And I couldn't understand that stuff. That it's funny because I tell the story that I would go to work with my dad on the summertime at the construction sites and do plumbing stuff. And it was hot in LA, 115 degrees heat, I'm just pouring sweat. And I would get in the pickup trucks, the work trucks, with men that were already filthy. Like, to start the day, they were filthy. I'm like, did you clean up? Yes, I cleaned up. Like, how used to, because it doesn't come off. Like, they work that hard. So I'd go out there and I'd work with them, and then my dad's out there yelling at everybody. Do this, do that. He's yelling at us all. And I'm like, Dad, how do I become you? How do I become the guy that's yelling? And my dad's yelling because he needs a job done. He needs to get it done because that's how he's going to feed the family. So it's a lot of fear built into that anger of the thing not getting done. My dad says, well, you got to work like I did. You got to start a business, you got to take risks, and then you can be the owner of the company. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. And then an hour later, these guys show up in suits and ties, and they start yelling at my dad. And I'm like, who are those guys? So I went and asked my dad, how do I become those guys? Like, no one's yelling at you, you're the boss, but these guys showed up yelling at you. He goes, well, they're the owners of the project. They're the real estate guys. And I'm like, how do I do that? And that started off the desire. But there's something I always say to everybody is, I have this abject fear of poverty that keeps me going every single day. Because having been there, and not super poor people, certainly there were a lot of people with a lot less, but having to get up and figure it out and know that I had no leg up, and I'm going to say this, stay in college, kids, no college degree, the only option I had was join the military and figure out how to be motivated and work hard and keep my eyes open and watch the people that are doing it and winning and take their advice. Don't get offended by them, don't get jealous of them, don't try to pull them down, but plug into them. What did you do? That's why I appreciate you. I mean, it's like, what did I do? I hang out with, I'm the poorest guy in my group. I feel like a loser every time I hang out with my buddies. And it's because they're so far beyond where I'm at. But that keeps me running hard.
Yeah.
Right? It keeps me motivated.
So, interesting there, the way you feel about your success, you see it different, right? Your definition of success is different. Last season, we had Victor Soto, who talked about success not being linear. And unfortunately, a lot of our audience believes that I need to take a certain path to get there to be successful.
Yeah.
But success comes in many ways, in many shapes, many routes that you can take. It sounds like you were able to connect with other people, keeping your eyes open into saying, okay, you know what, I see what you're doing, I kind of want to venture out there. You didn't have a narrow road into saying this is the only way to success. And now with your channel that you have in YouTube, OC Motivator, you have people from all over the country referencing your videos.
Yep.
That's what caught my attention. I'm a car guy, and I was in the market of getting a new car, doing some research, going into YouTube, and then hearing your perspective. I was like, wow, there was something about it that really caught me, and you connected with me just via camera.
Yeah.
You're doing something magnificent, and I appreciate you not saying, you know what, I've made it, I'm good, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy it. The fact that you continue to go out there. What drives you? What motivates you?
So I would love to say that it's this incredible desire to achieve greatness, but the reality of it is I just love cars, man. I just love cars. I literally would sit in front of high school, up at Lucerna High School, and I would watch the cars while I ate lunch, because I was a little guy with a big mouth, and I spent most of the time fighting in my freshman year. I didn't make a lot of friends, and I would just sit out, have my lunch, and do my homework so that I can not do it after school, and I'd watch the cars roll up. And I'd see the rich kids rolling up in their cool cars. And I'd see goofy cars, but they're cool. Like the Pontiac Fiero back in the 80s was looked like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. I was like, man, and I'd close my eyes and picture myself rolling up a 69 Camaro, that's really cool. And the BMW E30s, at the time, and I would just, there was no internet, I just had to sit there and dream. So I'd buy the Auto Trader, I'd get the Auto Trader and the magazine, and I would look at pictures, the black and white pictures of the cars before I ever had a driver's license, and I wanted to have cars. So when I went in the Air Force, it was, I don't have any money to buy cars, so I need to figure out how to get out of the Air Force and then use what I learned in the Air Force to make money. And I remember seeing some real estate people at the C21 office, Central 21 office, and they had cool cars, and they were always dressed really cool. And I was going to work in the Air Force going, I want to know what they do.
Yeah.
So I walked into that office and I was like, how do you guys have all these cars?
Point blank.
And I'm not kidding. I'm telling you the honest to God truth. I ended up talking to a couple real estate people, talked to the manager who tried to talk me into getting real estate. I was in the Air Force, I couldn't do anything. And I said, how do you guys get these cars? And he told me, we work hard, it's basically your own business, your commission only, all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I got another, year and a half left until I get out of the Air Force. I was so nervous around those rich people, right? This is in Blytheville, Arkansas, outside the Air Force Base. I walked out, and I'm not even lying to you. I had a little 1980 320 BMW old car with like 250,000 miles on it, but it was cool. 3 layers of limo tint on it. I walked out and I was looking around and I was in such a daze. I grabbed the door handle and I opened the door and I sat down and I realized I just sat in someone else's car. I just sat in someone else's Toyota Corolla. And I was like, I just walked up into our car and got in it. I jumped out of that car and freaked out. I was like, what did I do? And I ran over to my car and I got in the car. I'm like, my head was in a daze. Like, that's how screwed up it was. How can anyone, it's almost an unbelievable story. That next month, for the next little over a year, I bought a tie from Westbrook's clothing stores so that I would have a suit when I got out of the Air Force, so that I could be a real estate guy and a businessman. I didn't own a suit. But that there was a level of fear, level of desire to just succeed and get the cars I wanted. And it's so stupid, because as soon as I made some money, that's the first thing I did with it. I bought a car. I came rolling up in a 7 Series BMW, living in my parents' house, 8 months out of the Air Force, and they're like, why don't you move out? I'm like, I should have bought this car. I love the cars, man. I love the cars. And then I bought another one before I sold one. I bought the same exact car, just a short wheelbase, and then I had to park around the corner because I knew my mom would scream at me. She's like, you need to move out. You need it. And she saw it around the corner. She's like, there's one just like yours. Like, yeah, I don't know who would buy another one just like that one. I have no idea. And she figured it out real quick because I'm walking down the street and I had to come clean. But I just love the cars. So what motivates me is cars. But then you know what happens? Over time, you get a house, and then you get a wife, and you get a kid, and then you want them to have the things that they love. So then you spoil the daylights out of them, and and then you don't want to give that stuff away. So then you work even harder.
Even harder, yeah.
Right? Because there's bigger cars.
Yeah.
There's more expensive cars.
So yes, we'll get into those big expensive cars. There was a conversation we had last season. We talked about it was with Glenn, our therapist, and he talked about hard work. So he asked me that, do I equate hard work as always working, like literally working?
Yeah.
So if I'm not working, that means I'm not working hard.
Right.
Right, which equates to being financially stable or what have you. Do you think that the phrase of working smarter, not harder, is something that we should take more into account?
Absolutely. I spend probably 2 to 3 hours a night before I go to sleep trying to figure out a better way. Trying to come up with a more strategic way to do something better than other people do it. For 2 major reasons. One, I want to be a strong contributor to the organization I belong to. So I think it's my job to continually bring them great ideas and strategies no one else is. Because everyone else in the workforce, most people are collecting their paycheck and doing what they're told.
Right.
I have an employee, great young guy, and he's going places, he's doing really good, and he told me the other day, I said, why did you agree to close this office? He said, well, that's what they told me I had to do. And I said, you, right now, have permission to stop doing what you're told.
Yeah.
And come back with a better solution to the problem. If this is going to be a devastating event for our firm, your job, when we tell you to do that devastating thing, is to tell us we're crazy, tell us why, and provide a new way.
Yeah.
Use your brain. There's always better ways.
Yes.
It's like filming a video. I could spend $2,000 a video hiring a professional editor, or I could go sit in my car but make the content worthwhile and truly helpful. So what's the easiest, what's the best way to do it? I don't believe, and I've got to say this, I don't believe working 12, 15-hour days is the secret to success.
Right.
That got a lot of people in the past, a lot of the baby boomers, where they are today, because hard work was rewarded. Long hours was rewarded. Today, intelligence, strategy is rewarded because things have gotten so incredibly complicated and twisted around now that just because you work 15 hours nowadays simply means that the company has to pay you more to do the same amount of work they're paying someone else to do.
Yeah.
So when you can figure out how to, and I tell everybody this to this day, in an 8-hour day, do as much as it takes the other guy to do in 12 hours, you become the most valuable employee because you figured out how to do it better. So I had a meeting with some multimillionaires last night who, it was a great, they're trying to do a recruiting thing with me and get me to come to their company, and I love where I'm at, but nonetheless, they're doing the pitch on me, and I loved hearing them out because they're really great guys. But one thing I always make clear, I put in the best 8 hours you're ever going to get out of anybody.
Yeah.
You know, absent an emergency after that, you're not going to get me on the weekend, you're not going to get me at night. And I did that, and let me tell you what happened. I did that in the 90s, and I blew up every relationship I had. I lost every girlfriend I loved. I lost most of my friends, and there was no quality of life. So I figured it out. When I go to work, I work. And I kill it. And I try to think of better ways to do things and outperform everyone around me.
You know, I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about not being afraid to fail and believing in yourself, trusting in yourself, thinking of ways of how to get better. I worked, before working at Pacific Oaks Children's School, I'm a master teacher there. I worked for LA Unified for 16 years, and it was always like pulling teeth with administrators, with leadership, because they're used to doing things a certain way, and this fear of, well, we've never done it like that, Mr. Ramirez. Like, okay, so let's try it, but if it doesn't work, then we'll figure something else out. And I think that sort of, it influences a lot of people into believing that I have to work this many hours to feel successful, but you're saying that that's not the way. It's about trusting yourself. It's about networking with other people and finding how can I continue to get better. I really, really love that perspective that you have, that you bring in. And watching his videos, and if you guys don't believe me, check him out, OC Motivator. You have a message in every single video, whether it's don't pay the markups on the car, whether it's be pre-approved before you purchase a car, whether it is, hey, you know what, these are better resources available to us. Do you have a game plan, a strategy before you do these videos, or is it more of like, you know what, I have an idea, I'm just going to go for it and see where it takes me? So
on my phone, I have a notepad where I have video ideas, and once I come up with the idea, then I'll outline the idea. So very rarely am I just winging it. It's happened before, and those sometimes end up being some of the greatest videos. But sometimes there's key points I don't want to forget. This last video I just did on, there's people in trouble right now not being able to make their bills, and I don't judge them. It happens to everybody. It happened to me. You know, I fell on my face, and there were a lot of people going, well, you shouldn't have made that bad decision, shouldn't have made this good decision, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that, you should have, could have, would have. It's like, well, that's awesome, you genius. Where were you when I was making all those stupid mistakes? It's like, I'm not judging people. You're going to fall on your face a few times. It's a beautiful thing about our country. You're going to fall on your face, you're going to get back up. So hopefully you have good people around you to dust you off. But in the video, I forgot to talk about one aspect. So when you watch this last video, see that the lighting was different. And then in the middle of the video, there's like total different lighting. I did everything I could to fix it too. I mean, I'm like moving this way, doing this, I'm doing all this stuff. I can't get the damn lighting because I'm sitting in my car, the sun had gone down and it gotten darker. Then I moved the car backwards, I forgot to move it up, and it's just, you could tell it's different. But I had to slip that in there because I forgot a point that needed to be said in that video. Now, I might make $100 on that video. It's not like, but I already got, I got a message right now in queue on an email of a kid that's currently, and I won't say his name, but he's $24,000 in debt, and he's in trouble, and he needs to solve this problem. Went through a divorce, and he's a young guy going through this stuff, and he needs help. I can't tell you, like, I'm going to do some crazy thing. I got 9 meetings today I'm going to go through. I've got one other large group I'm going to go speak with, and I can't wait to get back to this guy and help him through his situation. You know why? I didn't have anybody. In 2007, when I lost everything and I contemplated taking my own life, I figured I was worth so much more dead than alive, that I could not put my budding young family, my baby 1-year-old daughter through the disaster I got us into. And I literally decided, and my company was hearing about it, houses in foreclosure, agents, people were coming in saying, you're the vice president, you're losing your stuff, how are we supposed to be motivated by you? So you know what I did? I traveled the 10 offices, I did sales meetings start off with, I'm losing everything. And it's okay if you do too. We had 3 people who, prior to me doing that meeting, took their own lives. Fathers, husbands, good men that didn't know how to get through their tough situation. And I woke up, I'm going to go just tell everybody. I'm going to own it. I'm going to share it. So in my YouTube video, if I can help this kid through his thing, and I will. The answer to his problem is so easy, but he sees it so close, he can't see the solution.
Definitely.
He's going to have a solution today. He's going to execute on it. He's going to come out the other end.
Yeah.
And hopefully, one of these people I help end up hitting the lottery and come and hand me, I don't know, $10 million. I mean, it's a crazy strategy, but maybe it can happen.
I got you. If I hit it, I got you.
I remember, I'm just kidding. But, they come back and they do things. So my videos, I used to put quotes in all my videos, and then the videos just got harder to fit those in because the intros are a pain in the neck to do, but somewhere they try to put some nuggets in there. Because you know why? And just talking about social media, please, if your people learn anything about social media, don't, I post some vapid content, some useless content. Sometimes it's just my car's in the driveway and things like that because other car lovers love them. And it comes off bragging and everything else. And I look back at those things and I'm like, that's not the best part of me. But the videos where I'm able to help people or get them to my channel to watch more of the videos where they get something out of it, man, there's some rewarding stuff out of it. I mean, there's some, I don't know what it is, it's like fulfilling in your soul.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that. I didn't have it when I was losing everything. When I was losing everything, I went out and finally told everybody, and still I had people judging me. Well, I can't believe you didn't know better.
Yeah.
How did I know the mortgage meltdown was?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew something was weird, but I didn't know it was going to get to me. I thought I was rich and it was never going to happen again. No, it was pretty bad. So one thing I've done is now I bought that cop car, and I dedicated the cop car to my friend who took his own life, and now I work really hard in front of people, but mostly behind the scenes, and helping men deal with this stuff so they don't see that as an option anymore.
Yeah.
They don't see, taking their own life as an option anymore.
Yeah.
So the channel has given me an audience. So back to social media. Once you have an audience, yes, you can monetize that audience. I don't make a ton of money. I only have 59,000 subscribers. But what you can do is you can use that audience for all kinds of things.
Yeah, right.
I say use it for good. Don't post vapid content where it's just look how cool I am, even though it's all fake.
Yeah.
You're buried in debt up to your eyeballs, and you just are telling everybody how cool you are, and you want more people to watch you so that they feel crappy about your life. I'd say that's, I don't know, 50% of YouTube.
Yeah, but I was going to say that there's a lot of content out there that's questionable. Being in the education field, there's a lot of content that I've seen where they use children to prove a point, and it's so frustrating to see that. In one of the conversations in the college class over the summer, we had about social media having this sense of being toxic, and that's pretty much that's what drives content in social media. I'm curious to know, what's your perspective? Do you think social media is trash?
I think there's a heavy level of toxicity for people who can't filter through it. And sadly, the vast majority of people have not had the proper education or training or even insight shared with them that they need to not believe everything they see. Remember, we were raised and we've been told, well, I'll believe it when I see it. One of the greatest quotes ever, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, the problem is now we get to see it and it's fake. It's not believable, but it makes them believe I'm not going to do good enough. I'm never going to be able to be as good as that person, when that person is literally one bad day or demonetization from YouTube from literally losing everything and being on the streets. So not believing 90% of what you see online and 90% of what they say is probably the best way to go into social media. The fakers, I mean, I saw that funny meme the other day about the private jet that the guy rents out to to influencers to make them look so rich. And
Oh, yes, yeah.
you see that thing? I'm like, I don't even know if it was real or not. I'm like, I believe it though.
I did see
They're
that,
full
yeah.
of crap, and everybody's like, look at this new Rolls Royce I bought, and it's rented.
Yeah.
Look at this new house I bought. It wasn't even their house. I mean, but I see it, and I'm like, wow, boy, did I really screw up. So when people go, why'd you get in YouTube? Did you want to be the strat man? Did you want to? Man, I got in YouTube at like 48 years old. I knew I'm not going to be stressed. Like, no one's going to go, look at that skinny, handsome young man. We could be like him one day. Like, if I hadn't made it by 48, they're thinking, what a loser doing YouTube. I'm doing it because I want to get comfortable in the camera and happen to be able to help people. And yeah, it gives me a small business. I make a couple grand a month that goes towards my car hobby, and I enjoy it. And my daughter's doing it too, but I have to do that with her. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I tell her also, don't believe any of this crap. They're all lying. But I really love watching this guy, and watch him.
Yeah.
Watch him. You can't believe anything you see on TV. Think about it. If you watch, this is important, if you watch MSNBC for an hour, and then you watch Fox for an hour, you're going to hate everyone in the world. You're going to hate everyone in the world. But what's really sad is if you only watch one, you're going to hate all the other 50% of people on the planet for no reason. So how about this? Don't believe any of them, and come up with your own ideas and ask, like you're doing today with this. Ask as many questions as you can. Be the most curious person in the world, and that was me. Can you tell me how you got How did you buy this money? I saw a guy in a Cadillac, a fancy Cadillac thing, back when I was, before I got into real estate. When I got here first, I was going to get into real estate, but I said, how did you get that car? And he's got Rolex, all this stuff, a little gaudy, but he says, I own a real estate company. I'm like, I'm signing up for real estate school in about an hour. I was like, cool, what's your best advice? The guy finally goes, dude, my gas has been pumped for like 30 minutes, I have to go.
Yeah.
You can, stop them and ask them questions. Ask them questions, I want to know, how did you get this? How much did that watch cost? Like, I'm asking the craziest questions
all
in the
these
world.
questions, and what I appreciate the fact is that you're using a platform that can reach people worldwide. And this is going to be as long as the internet's out there, and the internet's not going anywhere.
Nope.
Right? So you use this platform that you have to influence people, give them a sense of direction, give them some advice that's meaningful to them, that's going to benefit them, because like you said, growing up, you didn't have that. So you're pretty much like a mentor to so many people out there, and you don't even know it.
But it's crazy when I get a 19-year-old kid telling me he wants to be like me. Because there's a lot of times in my life I don't want to be like me. I'm like, bro, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm a tortured brain. I mean, my brain's going all the time. I'm always thinking. I drive my wife crazy. I mean, I have a full-time executive position at a company. I oversee 3,000 people, 33 offices, and I'm on the road all the time doing that. And as soon as I get done with that, boom, I'm doing some YouTube stuff. I'm doing cars things with my daughter on the weekends, and my wife's like, we're going to the desert for the weekend because I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to screw this up because my wife's, I don't know, you've seen her on the videos. But she's way hotter than I could have ever imagined getting a girl like that. So, it's juggling all this stuff. It's incredible. But this kid says, I want to be like you. And I'm like, that's not a horrible thing, I don't think. I have a beautiful wife I've been married to. I've been together for 17 years. I have an amazing daughter that's great grades, and she's going to go to college.
Yeah.
She's also going to do social media, and she's going to be real. She's going to go follow her, Car Girl Kendall. She's going to be real. She's going to be honest, and I'm happy. But you know when I really got happy? When I really achieved final happiness, it wasn't when my daughter was born. It was a big deal. Not even when I got married to the hottest girl on the planet. It's when I brought that damn Lamborghini home, brother. When that thing came home, like, I'm good, take me now. Just kidding, everybody. Just kidding, but that was a beautiful day. I was like, yes. Like everything can go sideways from here. I've had it, man. I'm good. For like the day I got it, I yelled, screamed, I go, honey, come downstairs. And she comes downstairs. She's like, what? There's a Lamborghini in the garage. And then like the next day, I'm like, Janie. She comes down. She goes, what's going on? It's still there. She's like, you're an idiot. Like, yeah.
What was her response when you pulled up in it?
She was happy.
She realized it was yours.
You know why she was happy for me? Because she knew I always wanted one. I finally said, one of my closest friends took his own life. And that's what really messed my head up. I'm like, man. I told my wife. I said, someday I want to get this car, and I'm looking at them online. She goes, when's someday?
Yeah.
I mean, why isn't today someday?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you can't afford it. When's someday? And I'm like, all I see here is you giving me permission. That's profound what you're saying, but you're saying I can do it. So let's go, man.
Yeah.
And she was on my side. She knew that this was something, and as she says, it's going to make my heart happy.
Yeah.
And while it's irresponsible and there's zero reason to own a Lamborghini, there's zero reason. It's uncomfortable, it's noisy, it's expensive. When it breaks, you have to mortgage your house. I mean, it's loud, it's obnoxious, the cops hate you, the neighbors hate you,
Yeah.
everybody hates you because you're in a Lamborghini.
You have one.
You're killing the environment. I mean, it's just everything about the car is horribly bad. But when you go back to being a 12 or 13-year-old kid with a Hot Wheel and you're going vroom vroom, you go right back to being that kid again and you get behind the wheel of that thing. So she was so happy for me. And to this day she says, I never expect you to have to sell that. I mean, I'm not selling it.
Yeah.
It's just never gonna happen. She supports me on that. She's
And
like,
that's one of the things that, as a man growing up in a very machista culture, the way that I see your relationship with your wife, from what we see in content, it's like you have been this successful individual because you have that support system. And may I say that a man that is very successful usually has a very supporting partner, in this case,
Yes.
your wife. The last video with the swing, you got the swing when she took
took
you
me
back and
back.
get it.
She made me go back again. I was like, okay.
Right, and that's support, because that's what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Right, and the fact, and again, using that platform to advocate to that, maybe that wasn't the point, but I'll tell you, watching that, to me, it's like, man, that right there is a recipe for a successful relationship.
Yeah.
And that's something that you also, willingly or unwillingly, you promote that in your social media content, and differentiating that
Yeah.
versus the toxicity that's out there, that's amazing.
Yeah.
How do you, I'm curious to know, how do you help your daughter differentiate that toxicity and not let her get influenced? Because as fathers, we know that they're going to be influenced by things that we don't necessarily agree with.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you help build that relationship, that trust with your daughter, to help her not fall into that toxicity?
So, I'll tell you that the time you spend with your kids, the time you spend with the people you love and care about is so incredibly valuable, and I didn't realize it when I was doing it with my daughter. We hung out to give mom time. She worked, she's been a stay-at-home mom since we got together. She said she was going to go back to work when the baby was born, and the baby's now going to be 17 next month. So that's fine. I'm blessed to have been able to do that, but she's worked hard. So on the weekends, if she didn't go with us, it didn't matter. My daughter and I were doing stuff. So lots of stuff. And we've done so much in a weekend that most people head would explode, but we were laughing and having fun. But I was always talking to her like she was a young adult, even when she was little. I never treated her like a little baby. She knew I respected her, and I wanted so badly to do good with that kid. When she was born, I literally stood over, because there was some issues in the hospital. I stood over her in the little nursery area, and I said, I'm going to make sure you have a good life.
Yeah.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you have a good life. Yeah. I'm going to do everything I can to do this right. And spending time with her and talking to her and openly having conversations with her and doing the same thing I do with everybody else, motivating her to be a good human. Be a good human. Care about others. The other day she told me she went up and paid for the lunch of a couple police officers in a restaurant. My kid did that. Of course, I asked her, where did you get the money? But she did that. But I was like, you just did that. The whole world hates them, and you in your heart realize these guys work hard. And she went and did a kindness. I didn't tell her to. So we've done something right. But it's been having an open conversation and telling her to ask questions. And don't just trust everything you see. I say, if there's anything, everybody, don't believe everything you see online, on social media. Ask more questions. Dig deeper.
Yeah, that's very important. I love how you found a common interest with her, and you're taking it. Like now the car.
It's expensive. I know. I realized I should have got her into something cheaper.
No matter what you choose, it's going to be expensive. My girls, in the past probably 2 years now, they got into wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's wrestling for me goes back to my grandfather. I remember him taking us to the Grand Olympic Auditorium in downtown LA in the bus to watch Andre the Giant and Mil Máscaras.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my brother about it. I was like, man, you remember going there? A couple of months ago, I took my girls to WrestleMania, and that was expensive too.
Yeah.
But the time spent with them, where my older one told me when Cody Rhodes came out, and I stood up and I'm chanting with them and I'm cheering for him, and she's like, it's like watching you when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Man, that touched my heart, and it was like, wow. On the drive back, we had more conversation. The following day, we went back, we had more conversations about trust me.
Yeah.
And be careful into what's out there, because there's a lot of, again, toxicity out there that can influence you
Yeah.
to change your perspective, or even, like you said, depending on what news you watch,
Yeah.
it's going to influence you to see people a certain way that's not true.
Yeah. It's poisoning your brain.
It's poisoning your brain. So, as the OC motivator, what would be your best advice that you could give to our audience in regards to social media?
Never fall victim to hubris. Never get to a place to where you think you're better than anyone else, better than everyone else, because as soon as you get there, the world will take you down, and they'll take you down violently, as it did me back in 2007, and give more than you get. And I said it when I started my video in my car on the way down here, is the more I give freely of my knowledge and help and support of others, somehow the world brings it back right back to me. And it brings it back to me tenfold. And I'm beyond grateful and sometimes shocked that I get to live the life I live with the people I have in my life. So value your relationships, question everything, because the narrative being sold to us on social media and TV nowadays is very heavily constructed to make us think the way the world wants us to think. We need to think for ourselves. If we can get back to doing that again, we'll have better relationships, we'll be more successful, and we'll make the world a better place.
Oh, amazing. Wow. Great conversation. Appreciate your time, appreciate your knowledge, sharing it all with us. On the comment section, we're going to drop your social media accounts so people can follow you, continue listening to this amazing motivation that you have for us. From all of us, CPTP, thank you so much. And until the next one, everyone, stay safe.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. That was awesome. Oh, man, that was great.
Oh, thank you so much.
No,
Jeez.
thank you.
All right, folks, so hopefully you enjoyed that podcast, my first one ever, and I hope you got something out of it. If you did, comment below. If you're not a subscriber already, please subscribe. And with that, till the next one, see you again. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, and there she is. Look at her in all that beauty. What do y'all think, folks? Great way to end the video. A beautiful shot of the swinger. Ah, she's dirty. Gotta go wash her. Never get tired of looking at this green. So gorgeous. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.